Hello everyone. I hope you guys are having a great day. So, for today's video, I am going to cover another game that I play over the board. So, for this round, I was very surprised when I saw that I was playing one of the newcomers uh from our school. And he is very strong. He is 1800. So, and he beat the NM uh the round before. So I was surprised, and when I saw that I got paired against him. We played once before, and our last game was very close. I just barely got the upper hand. So this time playing white again, I really would like to establish my dominance if possible. Although it won't be easy since the game this time is a G90 plus 30, so 90 minutes with 30 seconds increment per move, which I am still not used to due to how long the games are. But, anyways, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into the game. So, I start with D4. I'm planning to play my strongest opening here. So, we have knight f6, c4, e6, and I go g3 right away. Using my main repertoire, the Catalan. I have recently realized that I need to play more Catalan games to understand the ideas and concept of this opening, since there are so many middle game concepts of this opening, and even GMs don't fully understand this opening. Also, this move order avoids the queen's Indian defense. So let's say if I play knight f3, there's this respawn with b6, which I did not expect Will to actually play it. However, as a habit, it's good to just avoid it if you're able to. There's no reason to randomly allow a Queen's Indian game. Because I think that the Queen's Indian is arguably the best response against the Catalan. So so I play g3 here. Now there's no b6. So he plays d5, transpose back to the mainline Catalan. Knight f3 and bishop e7. A very modest and logic approach, which 90% of people play, right? Um, so bishop g2, castles, and he takes on c4. Uh, and I was surprised here when he played the open Catalan because I don't really expect him to actually know Catalan theory, especially the open Catalan theory, since there's a lot. Knowing the next 3 to 5 moves here doesn't actually help Black getting a good position. And even if Black gets a decent position, it doesn't mean that Black can navigate the middle game well. So, but here there's a problem for me is that I forgot which move is correct, whether to play a4 or queen c2. And I went for a4, which is the inaccurate move order that allows Black to equalize, although it doesn't really seem obvious, right? So if I went queen c2 first, um, Black should probably respond with a6 or b5, right? In which b5 there's a4, and without knowing theory here, it's really hard for. It's not that easy for Black to defend because you can't really you can play c6, but after takes and and takes after takes and knight g5, uh, basically white is winning because you can't play knight d5 anymore, and so and here you have to know well a6 you can play a6 and a takes b5. You can go bishop b7, and this is a new theoretical line that Black has been uh, coming up against. So although I don't really think that Will would know this opening. So this line is really complicated to play because you're essentially sacking a pawn, which psychologically is good for me. So okay. So but I play a4, and what I allow was c5. And this is actually, I wasn't even thinking about this move, but I saw it. And I was thinking, oh, this is exactly why I cannot play queen c2, because if you look at this position instead after takes, if I just play queen c2, if c5 is play, I can now play. I can now take and not have to worry about trading queens, and I'm still regaining my pawn with a slight advantage. But after a4 and c5, now I realize that I don't have enough time to play queen c2, so I had to take, and then knight a6, which is a very odd move, um, because it allows this, right? This is a very important concept that I've learned from a different variation of the Catalan, where black does the same thing, pushing c3 pawn. And you notice, right? I have not played knight d2 yet, because if I do, black can actually play c3, in some cases. So I play c6, and b takes c6, and now I mean, black's pawn structure is basically in shambles. The position is still equal. However, this is very easy for white to play. So here I play for knight e5, targeting both pawns, and see uh how black is going to respond. So I see bishop b7, and here I trade the queens. Uh, I thought for a while in this position, because I wanted to decide whether I actually wanted to trade queens or not, right? Even though I know trading queens is pretty comfortable for me, because I know Catalan endgames are generally really good for for white. So so I ended up trading the queens, and for some reason I forgot that rook a to d8 exists. I actually only calculated rook f takes d8, in which case I was going to take with the knight and then this. And here, black cannot go rook a c8, because you just hang a fork. So black goes rook a b8, and this position is still equal. It's an equal endgame, but I have a bishop pair, and there are things that I can definitely work on. So, but it took with the pawn with the a rook, and here I should have taken the c4 pawn. I was debating on which pawn to take, and I didn't take on c4 here because I wasn't sure of where to move the knight after I take on c4. But based on what happened in the game, I should have taken on c4. So if I take on c4, um, I can actually reroute to a5 if I wanted to. And if knight c5 is played here, I can play knight bd2 pretty comfortably. And I also have knight a5 ideas, also stopping this and attacking the bishop. So it's quite comfortable for me if I just take on c4. But I take on c6 with the knight, because I wanted to keep the bishop pair, which the engine actually said that I should trade the bishop. Um, Purely because after this, I'm getting this bishop, and without the light square bishop, black can't really defend this pawn. So let's say rook d7, and let's say you just take, and then you play knight a3. Now c3 doesn't really matter. Basically, it just allows white to just take the pawn, and this structure is completely fine. This just counts as a pass pawn, because the knight on a3 is going to protect c4 and all that kind of stuff. And if rook to c8, which is more likely going to be play, now I have bishop to g5, pinning and eventually double the pawns on the king side. So And I should have probably done that, but I wanted to keep the bishop pair, so I went for this, which is not great. Because here, black gets the knight into the game with knight to c5, and this is surprisingly strong move. Because in my calculation, when I went knight to d2, I thought that I'm fine, right? And I thought there's nothing that should happen. But black played knight b3 anyways. And in my head, I was thinking, well, this shouldn't be a good move. And the engine agrees with me. It's not actually a very good move. However, the way to punish it is not easy. So I took on b3. It's pretty much forced. And then pawn takes b3 and bishop e3. And here, as we see, rook d to c8. And honestly, at first, I thought this was a great move, right? Because I was calculating for a while here because I I thought that I could just go rook fc1, but apparently in my head after here, I went and he went a5. I just thought that I don't know how to move this bishop. Because let's say if bishop b6 is played, and now bishop b4. And I just thought, is well, how am I gonna progress here, right? So, but apparently this is winning for white after bishop to d2, because if bishop b4 is played, I just takes and I push a pawn, which I completely miss. Yeah, and because of this bishop, this square is cover, and let's say a5, and then black's forced to play rook c7, a6, rook a7, and then you just play bishop b7. And this game is over because these two pawns are unprotectable. Right? I can just go grab both of them, and this pawn on b2 is going to roll over on b6, and the game is over, effectively. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you go. Because knight d5, rook c4. You can try to protect this all you want, but it's not going to work. Rook d8. Yeah. Well, not even rook d8. I guess we can play something like g6. But still, here, yeah, I have e4. It doesn't really matter. f5 doesn't really change that much because I induce more weaknesses, and these are too many weaknesses to deal with. So, but I missed all of that, and I didn't want to go bishop b5, which I actually still did in the game because of this rook c2. But apparently, after bishop a7, rook b2, and rook fb1, white is winning, actually winning, because once again, there's nothing that stops the passed pawn, and so I'll be effectively winning. This is actually what I calculated, right? Going toward bishop d3, which I saw it was equal, and I was correct. So here, after this, and let's say a5, rook takes a2. This is equal, and I was correct in that regard. However, this should not be. That was not the winning move, which is why which is what I missed, right? Rook c2. I actually just take this, and this pawn doesn't actually advance that far. Rook a2. If the same line is played, now I play rook a1, and since there are no a pawns, and I took the pawn here, I will be up a clean pawn, and this a pass pawn as well, which the bishop pair is really good in terms of supporting a rook's pass pawn. So, but bishop b5. He plays a5 instead. He didn't. I thought for 10 minutes that he just never played rook c2. I guess it was never good in the first place, but I didn't really understand why. Right? Because I keep forgetting that after taking this, my pass pawn becomes really strong. So this is something that I missed a lot in this endgame. So a5, and I went to rook fc1. Here, once again, bishop d2 is actually simply winning. Not exactly like winning, but it's still a lot better. And after rook c2, bishop a5, rook to b2, and rook fb1. It leads to pretty much the same position that happened beforehand, right? Because let's say after this, the engine wants knight d5, which I don't really know what it does. Um, and here I'm protecting the B pawn, and I guess I'm happy. Uh, Black rook are compensated with some activity, which is why this is not completely losing for black. But the bishops are very strong, so I was I'm going to be fine in a little bit once I'm able to push the pawn forward. So, but of course I missed all of that, and I play rook fc1, which is a bad move because he can actually play rook c2, um, which is just a great move. And of course I saw that, and I was telling myself that I'm happy with this, right? So let's say rook takes c2, rook takes rook c1, and rook c8. Bishop d3, knight d5. Oh, it wants bishop c2. Here I thought I would go bishop d2, right? And after knight b4, bishop b4, bishop b4, rook takes c2. This is effectively a draw. However, right at this move where I thought I was looking at this, right? I was definitely looking at this. And here I thought that if I take the pawn at a7 and I take the rook, I don't know if I couldn't tell if I was winning. But apparently after this, I am White is actually winning. So knight d5. Actually, is knight d5 good here? Yeah, I have to play knight d5 because knight d1, rook c2, simply winning. So knight d5 and e4, knight f6, f3, and actually wait, why not knight b6? Rook c7, bishop b4, and b3. And this is actually winning for white, surprisingly. I don't really understand how, but I guess it is winning. So I had a very wrong evaluation in the up this position. So I could have, if rook c2 was play, I could have gone with this route. Um, and apparently here the engine said to just give up the pawn. Well, not exactly give up the pawn. You just don't protect the pawn right away, and instead go for a very early knight d5. After bishop d2, you go for knight b4. After takes, this is still effectively a draw because of different color bishop, even though there's extra rooks on the board. So yeah, this game I have to say that I misevaluate my positions a lot and pretty badly. So yeah, after rook fc1, he had rook c2 as a resource, but he played an alternative best move, which is knight to d5, and I definitely saw this as well. And here I was debating on where to go, where to move this bishop. So the bishop has two main squares I can go to, d2 and d4. Now, I was calculating a bit on bishop d4, but I didn't really see where I'm getting with this. Because actually, once again, rook c2 is actually playable here. And after takes, and rook c1, here rook c8 is good. Because my bishop no longer cover e1, and I don't have bishop d2 anymore. And so if I go bishop d3, just knight b4 is coming. And bishop c3 doesn't do that much because black never has to move this knight, right? And let's say after like something like f5 and takes 6, I mean this is effectively equal still. And then I say bishop d2. This is leads to the same draw that we saw earlier. So after knight d5, after a lot of consideration, I went for bishop d2. And here I thought that bishop f6 is apparently the best move. And I thought it was the only move that allows black to keep themselves in the position. So rook takes c8, rook takes c8, bishop takes a5, bishop takes b2, rook b1. Ah, I missed this resource of rook c1. Okay. Rook c1, bishop c1, e, and then it wants e4, which is kind of crazy. But e4 works because you don't have b2, b1 because of the light square bishop. And knight f6 has to be played here. The knight has no good moves here. So knight f6 and bishop d3. I mean, you play b2, you're just wasting time, so it doesn't do that much. And actually, this is a slight. This is actually better for white because black can never really promote this pawn, and the bishop pair actually does a great job in terms of restricting this knight into the getting into the game. And also, the bishop has to guard this pawn at some point. So, yeah, and maybe I was misjudging this position, and I thought they was somewhat equal. What? Um. So let's see. Let's see what was the line that I saw. This is the line that I saw. Okay, so I didn't go for bishop takes a5. I went for rook. I looked at rook a3, which is of course completely equal still, because of rook c2, only move that allows equality. Bishop takes a5, rook takes b2, bishop d3, bishop c3, takes 6, a5, knight b1, and here what a6 is winning. Oh my god. Yeah, this is why I always want to analyze with the engine, right? Put while annotating my own games, because sometimes engine just recommends ridiculous moves. Or not even ridiculous. It just say it's basically can tell me that I misevaluate the position. Like say here, bishop d3 is actually a bad move because I missed bishop e7. Such a good retreating move. And after rook a1, rook a2, rook b1, b2. Black is actually winning here because the bishop is overloaded. It has to guard this rook, and this pawn is going to be gone. Wow, crazy stuff. So, but after bishop d2, black actually play bishop b4, and actually the engine says that this is the best move. But during the game, I thought that this was effectively a draw. Not a draw. I thought it was better for me. And well, I was right in the terms of this is still better for me slightly, but I was wrong that I was wrong that bishop b4 was not the best move, and so I took on b4, and I thought that okay, this is probably not a draw, right? And I think here he also offered me a draw. He went bishop b4 and he offered me a draw, and I took, and he took back with the a pawn. He took back with the a pawn, and here I told him that like, oh, okay, this is not a draw anymore. This is still a draw after knight takes b4. If he takes with a knight, then that sure. Actually, if he takes with a knight, the problem is he clearly loses pawn. So rook takes c8 and rook a3, rook c1, king g2, and this pawn is gone. So he knows that I will never accept a draw here, in this case, right? So he took with the a pawn, and this is actually I will make it really quick. This is actually a losing move, surprisingly enough, but not with the same reason that you think. So Here, I play a, this move really quickly without other considerations. Oh, not this move. This move actually was not really in my radar. But I play Bishop C4, which is a terrible move. An absolutely terrible move. And there's only one reason that this move is terrible. If you guys would like to pause the video really quick and try to and figure out why, I'll give you guys a couple of seconds. Okay, so the reason this move is bad, even though this move looks very natural, right? It attacks a b3 pawn, which is undefendable. It's like great. Well, my opponent found this move in like 2 to 3 minutes, and he said he saw this beforehand, and he thought that okay, this works. Knight c3. The only move in this position that allows black to equalize is knight to c3. And I was so mad that it actually works. I was like, wow, I cannot actually take the knight. I mean, obviously, if I take the knight b2 and I lose a game. And bishop takes b3 doesn't work because knight to e2 force the king and the rook, and I also lose. Well, yeah, it's crazy stuff. So here I could have just win if I just play rook c4, and there's actually not that much for black to do. If you take the rook, well, now you officially lose a pawn because it's no knight c3 anymore. It still say that knight c3 is actually one of the top moves, which is kind of ridiculous. But it say after rook c8, bishop b3. Now I'm effectively winning because I have a passed pawn, and this pawn is weak, and this knight is attacked, and this is very easy to win. So, and here, let's say after something like e5, I mean, I could just sack the rooks here. What's he going to do about it? Right? Rook takes e4, rook takes e4. Actually, not even. Yeah, rook takes e4. And eventually, f3, king f2, and e4 is going to come. That's my guess. Although I had to calculate a little bit more. I think, yeah. Let's say, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know that here I'm just straight outright winning. So that was my thoughts. I mean, I don't know. Is e4 winning? Yeah, e4 is still winning due to the fact that once again, black has way too many weaknesses, and it's really not worth it for black to go for this. Try to protect these double pawns, and I also have a free pass pawn that can just come over at any time. So king f7, now bishop c4. But okay, after knight c3, I was pretty baffled there, and I sat and I thought for probably 10 to 15 minutes. And I had to play. I know, and I figured I had to play bishop d3 because, well, if you look, what knight c3 also does is that my bishop is attacked. It's undefended, to be more precise. So I had to go bishop d3, which I mean, it's probably the only like good move. So here, rook fd8, threatening to take the bishop. So knight e2 is a threat again. This is actually going back to be better for white now. So here, all I had to do was play king f1. And of course, I saw this move, right? When I saw rook fd1, rook fd8, I actually wanted to just move the king like out of this fork. So out of this fork. And so there were three king moves: king f1, king g2, king h1. And actually, the move that I looked at the most is the worst move out of three, which is still give me a better position. But after king g2, it's actually not so easy anymore because after this and e5, my bishop and my pawn is a little bit tied down, and this becomes slightly hard for me to actually progress because my king, I just waste a king move and I'm not moving my king closer. Whereas if I play king f1 after e5, the same thing, but the difference is that I protect this pawn. So it's very abstract to tell why this is better because the like all the moves are pretty much the same except that the difference in terms of the king position. But I mean consider it if I play rook e1, which is better than king g2, and it's still completely fine because I just thought to myself I want to be able to take this knight. So and I want to also protect e2. So I just want the knight to be gone. That's what I want. And he play a pretty odd move. I wouldn't say terrible, but because it's really hard to say why it's terrible, I think in the game I kind of punish it correctly. And he played knight a2, which what it does is that it stops my rook to come to c1. But what happens is that this knight is now officially trapped. So here the move, I think the move is to play knight d5, which actually is still not good because now my pass pawn once again is going to roll over the board, and so knight a2 is actually the better move, but it's now still now very hard to play. So rook a to d1, g6, pretty much not the only move, I guess. But actually here rook a d1 is a bad move. It leads to equality. I thought about a5, and I thought that a5 wasn't good, but I guess after this, oh, now you play bishop c4. You can never move this. So rook and then rook d5, you just go a6 because now the back rank is getting weaker. And once again, you cannot play rook a8 because of bishop c4, and this is where the trap knight goes in. I see. So yeah, I think I was a little bit tired in this position, and I thought that I was blundering so much that it affected the rest of my game. So after rook a1, which is actually equal, he played g6, which is I think the plan here is that if something, I think it's something like basically he plays something else, which I don't really know what he's going to play. Right? If he plays something like rook a8, I actually have actually not rook a, not even rook a. I think rook a is not going to be. I thought that after e5, I have something like bishop c4. And I will gain this pawn, but in fact, this is actually still a draw because knight c1, and I lose a pawn here. Okay, so the video has gotten pretty long for just one game, just covering one game. So I'm going to start to speed this up a little bit. So g6, stopping any back rank stuff. So a5. Now I finally start pushing the pawn, which is a little too late. And here, funny enough, knight c3 is actually a move because after this, the pawns are going to compensate for the piece, and eventually white will have to sack the bishop back. But rook a8 is play, and it's now a bad move. So I found bishop c4, which is the best move. I take because of this whole sequence. I found this whole sequence, right? Rook d1, rook, and this is only good because I have this last resource. If e5 is playable here and there's no rook d7, this is a draw. Or I guess not a draw, but it'll be much harder for me to actually play. But rook d7 just wins on the spot. So he cannot play e5, so he has to guard this if he wants to play e5, which is too late. I just played rook d4, which is why e5 needs to be played here. King g7. And here I took, and this is I mean, this is uh, effectively winning for white. This is a theoretical winning endgame for white. But I actually blundered really hard this game in this end game, and eventually the game went into a draw. So I just show you guys really quick what happened. So the best move here is h4. I could have just made this move before I do anything else because it solidified the pawn structure. It doesn't leave any big weaknesses, and my king only has to protect the f pawn, and it's still moving forward. But here I want king f3 first, which is still not terrible. But after this is my last chance to play h4. But I play king e4, and now this is kind of equal-ish. Um, I'm still slightly better, but the thing is that when I saw this, I was really worried about my h4 pawn, and I didn't know what to do anymore. So I play a lot of like pretty much bad moves. The position never crossed +1. Okay, this is yeah, and then f3 terrible move. I could just play king e3, rook b1. Now I play b4. If checks, king e king f4 or king d4. Even say king d2. Because yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. This endgame I really didn't want to talk about it, so I just I just basically blundered really hard because after this is effectively equal now. So let's see. This is winning for this is winning still. Oh my god. Because you get 2 pawns. How did I miss it? How did I miss this so badly? Oh my goodness. But I played rook b8 like an absolute idiot. This is winning. Because black has not black doesn't have enough time. And you can actually cannot cast this pawn because you run into check and queen. Yeah, I mean there's nothing I can really do. And this is effectively a draw because there are no real progress that I can make anymore. And yeah, so yeah, I had to give I mean if I don't give up the pawn, oops, sorry. Let's go to the end position. If I don't give up the pawn, he can just keep checking. He can just do this, and I still lose a pawn. So it's going. I have to give up the pawn, or it's a draw by repetition. So rook g1 takes, and we agree to a draw. I think this game is sort of painful in terms of like the fact that I was winning for so long. I was pretty much in control the entire game until I blunder bishop c4. Not this bishop c4. There's the previous bishop c4. Until I blunder here and knight c3 comes in, um, everything else was sort of in control. But then I was given another chance in the end game, right? And I don't know how to play. I didn't know how to play the end game. Uh, I am usually pretty good in practical end games. However, this is one of the positions where you have to know theoretically, and I didn't know. I have very minimal knowledge in theoretical endgames, so I couldn't convert it correctly. But after this, I am definitely going to review and actually start training the. I guess I can just specifically train this endgame because I know how to get a pawn up, right, and try to win from there. So it will be a very interesting lesson for me, and so yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys like to see more games like this, please let me know. I will try my best. And but if you guys don't like the super long commentary, I will try to shorten it up and show you guys more moves. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.